morning, everybody. It's Brad at Select Roses. I wanted to spend a few minutes this morning telling you a bit about the more shrub type roses, particularly some old garden roses, David Austin roses. We're going to talk a bit about pruning them, training them, and what to do with them. So first thing I wanted to do was tell you the David Austin roses can be grown as climbers or large shrubs. A lot of people prune them quite hard, keep them down bushy. Other people let them get quite large. So here's one that hasn't been pruned. This is one of my favorites, William Shakespeare 2000. It's hard to find now, but it's wonderful for color. We absolutely love it. I'll be pruning this to show you. There's 3 plants that are grouped together to give it the effect of one big bush. There's also another William Shakespeare over here. And I just wanted to show you, this is basically like a giant peony type ring that we put in here, made out of rebar. It's open at the back and it holds the shrub up. So we've taken 50% of the growth off of this one already. The plant is going to billow out over the top. It looks sensational, and we mix a lot of perennials at the base here. There's also a bit of weed mass in here, but there's everything from a stilby to lady's mantle. There's some other types of ground cover. And if you look over here, you'll see one of the old garden roses. So the true old garden roses, most of them bloom the one time. And when they do the show, it is fantastic. Thousands of blooms. This is called Ispahan. And I had my dad just build a rustic fence around the outside of Ispahan. We let a little bit of ivy there just cover the base of it, but we pull it up so it's not going to take over the whole plant. And what happens on these roses, you can see they make long stems like this, and then the old garden roses bloom on the old wood. So they make all these laterals. This is what it's bloomed on last year. Some years, if we have time, we come along and prune these laterals out. Other years, we just leave it, and what we try and do is tie down. You can see here, there's a bit of string in here where we've tied down some of the laterals in previous years. The old garden roses will make a lot of dead wood underneath. It's actually a good idea to leave some of that dead wood. It doesn't cause any type of infection, and it's what's holding up the structure of the plant. They look amazing like that. So I'll go through, do a little bit of pruning on some of those shrubs, and then we'll get back and show you what they look like after they've been pruned. Hey everybody, it's Brad at Select Roses. I was just told in the last video shot we had somebody stealing the show from me. I was being upstaged by the neighbor's cats. This is Charles, and we also have Benjamin. They spend the day hanging around the nursery. So we'll let them go to play now. And I'd like to show you a little bit about pruning. We were talking about William Shakespeare 2000. Hard to find Austin rose, really, really fragrant. You notice they can make big canes like this at the end of the season. My dad made a little bit of support that's not really working, so I'm going to have him make something that looks a little more authentic, like the larger wooden rails that we have around Ispahan there. When you're pruning the David Austin roses, you just hop into the bed like any other roses, and you see these tiny little thin shoots in the middle here. They're not going to bloom, so we're going to cut those out all the way to the base. We're going to find old wood like this piece here, and it's just dried up old wood in there. That's not going to bloom, so that wood gets cut right to the base again. Make another cut like this. And the whole idea is to reduce the plant. There's that nice wood that we see there, by about 50%, because these are going to put on a lot of growth force this year. And even though we're going to have a fence to lean them on, we don't want something like that. We'll take this growth off, we'll thin these ones out. Sometimes if it's pointing in the right direction, I'll leave some of the thinner growth. Little dried up pieces like this are going to be coming out. This one we've already clipped back, but I'm going to clip it back a little bit more. And again, we have some dead wood in here that we'll be thinning out. So when we're done with this, we will have about 50% of this David Austin rose trimmed away. The neighboring David Austin rose is growing right into it. So the whole thing is we want this mass effect. We'll have a new fence constructed there. It will be billowing out over there. Down at the base where you see that looks like just a mess here is actually mostly lady's mantle, and there's some creeping buttercup that's moved in. So my garden angels are going to take care of that. And we love the base of some of these roses, the old roses buried in with lady's mantle and some campanula and things like that. I think it looks great that way. And these plants, by the way, have been here, I would say, for 15 to 20 years. And I do this little bit of work to them every year. They're in a half a day of sun. They still do great. They give us fragrant blooms, gorgeous blooms all summer long. They're very, very tough rose. You look behind us, you'll see another old garden type rose. This is one that's called the Russell Cottage rose, and it just blooms the one time. And you see how it started down at the base? It was a small little cutting. It's growing up through a metal structure there, and it makes these big long arms that weep over the top of it, and it blooms on the old wood. Every now and again, I thin out some of the oldest shoots. I thin them right down to the base, so I take them out in a few pieces and I make room for the new wood. But the whole idea is I will leave some of the old wood in there just because we want the big stems here to have some support rather than collapsing all the way back into the plant like that. And a rose like this will live here 50 or 100 years. It'll be just fine. You'll see cedar trees in the background. It doesn't get any morning sun, 4 or 5 hours of afternoon sun, and it blooms beautifully. And if you check over here, you will see the cats stealing our show again. We've got a couple of them on the go. They love playing in the rose garden. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon again.